Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. If you guys haven't heard, well, it's happened again. That's right, when you hear it's happened again in relation to War Thunder, there's only one thing outside of crappy BR changes that you can think of, and that's classified document leaks. That's right, the Eurofighter Typhoon, a development version of it, I believe the DA7, the flight manual and specifications have been released and leaked onto a War Thunder forum, which is crazy because that plane's not even in the game and probably won't be in War Thunder for quite some time. This is, of course, not the first time that these classified leaks have happened. I mean, it's happened ever since probably the Challenger. I think that was like the first really notable one in which some crew member decided to leak information about the mantlet thickness, if I'm not mistaken, for the Challenger turret. Then we also have Leclerc specifications leak. We had leaks on Chinese APF SDS, which that guy was probably put down quite some time ago, whoever leaked that. Then we also had the F-16, some helicopter leaks, and some other things as well. I mean, there have been tons of leaks, and this year has probably been the most active. The beginning part of 2023 has definitely been the most active, but as I've said in the past, and many other people have said, content creators, community members, and everyone else, this is just the beginning, because especially as we get into more modern aircraft, and even still more modern tanks, because there are still a few variants of tanks that are not quite in game yet, but are still, I mean, they are on the cutting edge. If somebody ever leaks that sort of thing, it is game over. And we actually had a rumor, kind of a myth a few months ago, that Raytheon was going to start checking if you play War Thunder or not, and of course that turned out to be, again, a falsehood, but you never know. I mean, who knows what this will bring in the future. This does not look good for War Thunder, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse as more modern vehicles, especially aircraft, get added to War Thunder. And again, this is not War Thunder's fault at all, rather it's the people doing this. Ultimately, there's a big problem because a lot of people think that, hey, you know what, this is online, it's publicly available information. No, that's not true. There is a ton of stuff online that nobody should ever see, but it's online anyways because it's incredibly difficult to put a stop to this, that, and the other thing, including intelligence leaks. And while this sort of thing probably isn't the most sensitive thing in the world, the most classified documentation in the world, like this isn't the US having living aliens staying in the White House sort of classified, but this is also pretty damn big because this is NATO restricted information that got leaked. And again, even though this was a developmental version of the Eurofighter that was released, the specs of it, it's still something where it's probably close enough to whatever was released and is still in service today, and that is a big problem. And the kicker is, with all of this, is that Gaijin refuses, they absolutely refuse to use any sort of classified information. As long as it is even partially classified, they will not use it. And that's actually part of the reason why we see such a homogenous top tier when it comes to tanks, why almost every tank seems pretty similar to the next, because they have to use pretty general and out there information in order to create these tanks. And so there are not exact specifications that are known, like armor thickness, potentially APF SDS effectiveness, things of that nature, where you kind of have to guess on it. And because they have the liberty to guess, they kind of make everything more or less as powerful as each other. Of course, some tanks are a little bit better than others, but that is what it is. Now, when it comes to aircraft, of course, that hasn't quite happened yet because for the most part, there are still documents out there that you can get into that are fully declassified that Gaijin is using in order to build spec sheets for different aircraft, but that will come to a halt very soon, especially as things like more advanced F-16 variants are added, the F-15, once we get AMRAAMs into game, once we start getting a whole bunch of new weapons into War Thunder, you will start seeing it where all these classified documents, it's going to become much, much faster than it currently is. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem that people realize that, again, because it's on the internet, it doesn't mean that it's available for you to see. I mean, I'll give you guys a few seconds, but there are a few things other than just intelligence and specifications and flight manuals and all that you could probably think of that are online that is illegal, but it's still online and ready to be accessed if you're stupid or depraved enough to do so. Regardless, I could could go into a tirade about this, but just don't do this, guys, especially if you're from the countries that these vehicles are in service with. It is a huge mistake. You are potentially costing people their lives. You're potentially costing your own freedom, mind you, because there are consequences for this sort of thing. Investigators might show up at your door. You might start getting calls. And again, I mean, if for whatever reason some sort of conflict comes out and now all of a sudden XY Nation knows the weakness of XY plane, then that could be partially your fault. So just don't do it, guys. I mean, I'm sure this sort of thing is already in the hands of the adversaries of the people who fight the Typhoon or who might fight the Typhoon in future wars, but there are still plenty of things out there that most people don't have access to, or most countries don't have access to, and you shouldn't just be posting it in a War Thunder forum. It's silly. You're going to cost yourself a lot down the road. You're going to look stupid, and that information is not going to get into the game. But rant aside, thanks so much for watching. Seriously, thanks for supporting my channel through everything. It's been years since I started posting on this channel regularly, and every post is a new joy for you guys to react to. It really makes me happy, especially when you see stupid things like what's going on in this video. But either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Don't leak classified documents, guys. Seriously, if you do, then that's one less subscriber I'll have because you'll be thrown in prison. That sucks. Take care, everyone.